So last night on Slack, Matt sent me a message. He said, "Keon, this is a question for Lucas on the mailbag. Would he still drive Vinicius to the airport for Mbappe with the sweat smile emoji?" Uh,
Yes,
little
sir.
little did
No
he
doubt.
I know, but hold on. Little did he know that a question came in from a patron about this very same subject, so he didn't even need to put his name on this. So Rami, our patron, says, hypothetically speaking, if you have to choose between the informed Vinicius, the form he's been on this season, or Mbappe, and you could have only one of these players in Real Madrid, which one would you choose?
Look, man, I get the excitement, I get the hype, but for me, seriously, the whole the comparison right now, as good as great as Vinicius has been so far this season, Mbappe has been doing this for the last 4 or 5 years. And he's pretty much the same age as Vinicius. The comparison doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, if I have to pick between them two, is fairly easy for me. I get that Vinicius is very exciting to watch with the dribbling and all that, but if I had to choose, then in a heartbeat is Mbappe for sure. I mean, and I appreciate and I love Vinicius and definitely for sure I don't. I mean, Real Madrid are not in this position where they have to choose between the two, and the two of them can coexist, and that's definitely one great thing of the situation because Vinicius definitely looks to be a great athlete for many years to come. But if I had to pick between the two, I choose Mbappe in a heartbeat, in a split second.
I agree. I think if you're like to do the very simple, logical, mathematical equation that Daryl Morey would approach this with, who's the better player? And that's the one you take. And Mbappe is the better player of Vinicius. Done deal. It's
Yeah,
finished. I guess this
yeah,
question,
it's
yeah,
over.
I guess this question becomes
La-
more interesting that when you don't pose it that way, but pose it in a way that's like, if you're getting Mbappe for free, or let's say if you have a 40% chance you're going to get Mbappe for free, or you don't risk it and you get 100% chance you're getting Mbappe, but you have to give up Vinicius, then I think that's when you have to start doing the math. Is it, would you risk getting for free and not giving up Vinicius now, or like just get it done, guarantee you swap Vinicius and Mbappe, and it's finished. You get him.
I still swap him.
Hmm.
I mean, Mbappe is that good, and he'll be that good for a decade or so. Again, as great as Vinicius has been this season, to be honest, I'm still a bit skeptical about whether or not he can sustain this kind of level for the entirety of the season. I struggle believing that he somehow woke up one morning and decided to become Pelé 2.0. Why did it happen so quickly? I mean, of course confidence is a big factor here, and I acknowledge that Vinicius struggled with confidence for the last seasons or so under Zidane. I realize this, and it seems to me that he has definitely more confidence and and more trust from Ancelotti than he did from Zidane, and he plays with more freedom, that's for sure, and this is an important factor in every single footballer. But at the same time, it was a huge change in Vinicius, and it happened overnight. So I'm still a bit skeptical about whether or not this is some kind of temporary form or whether or not he can actually sustain this for the entirety of the season. But even if he can sustain this, I still feel like Mbappe right now is the better player.
Um, there's no question he's the better player. I don't dispute that at all. I do think that Vinicius is really special, and I think he's going to be a really really great
Sure.
player, and his ceiling is one of the best players in the world. So, um, uh, again, for me, it's easy. If you can only have one, you choose Mbappe. It's easy. It's done deal. It becomes a little bit more complicated if it's like that's the only way to get Mbappe. Then do you send them the other way? And I think that the answer to that is probably yes as well. But I just I guess to me, part of this discussion is moot because I don't think these two things are really related in a realistic world anyway. Like I think at
Yeah,
this point, like this would have been a realistic conversation, and it was. You and I had this realistic conversation over the summer
yeah,
because Mbappe was still under contract. This conversation actually doesn't
yeah,
even matter anymore because he's going to be
exactly,
free, and you don't have to include Vinicius in any package deal anyway. So,
exactly.
so they're not really related at this point anyway. But it's an interesting hypothetical to entertain, and I think the fact that we're having these questions come in, it's a testament that Vinicius had a great start to the season, and I think we all
Yeah,
feel that there was something really exciting brewing there.
yeah, and look, Ian, I don't think Real Madrid will be forced to choose between the two, obviously, because it looks like Mbappe, if he comes, he will come as a free agent, so Real Madrid will not have to choose between the two. But the coach might actually have to choose about the position, because Mbappe obviously can play on the right wing, but I'm fairly certain that he's more comfortable on the left, and even more so maybe on the center than he's on the right, and it goes the same way for Vinicius. So they can coexist, but at the same time you would be playing the best of the three attackers out of his favorite spot in order for Benzema, Vinicius, and Mbappe to coexist, because the best of the three would be Mbappe, and I think Mbappe would be more comfortable on the left. So it'd be a bit of a tricky situation when and if Mbappe signs for Real Madrid, because we know that Vinicius is definitely not comfortable on the right, and obviously again the optimum situation for Mbappe would be to play on the left. So it might be a little bit tricky for the coach.
Question from Shamil. He says, "Great seeing you in Toronto, Keon." Likewise, Shamil. Is there a known football template for successfully breaking down a defensive side? Assuming that Guardiola's repetitive plays and moves is the answer, at least in the modern context, why don't more top teams and coaches take the time to build around such a philosophy? Ultimately, if we're looking at a high percentage of wins across the board and a repeatable formula, this almost feels like a no-brainer in league play. What's the catch?